Am I the asshole for blowing up at my husband for sending his family a picture of our newborn? Me F27 and Phil M32 have been married for 3 years. We both have families who want to be first in everything. Phil read me an article about boundaries and encouraged me to set boundaries for both families. I agreed and we made progress. As the birth of our son approached, we handled the family's requests. Both moms wanted to be in the room, we said no. Both dads wanted first photo with the baby, but we said no till they agree. Both families wanted to be at the hospital to see our son, but we said no, then agreed to host a gathering on Tuesday where both families get to see our son at the same time for the first time. No pics, posts or video calls till then since I needed to recover. Everything was going well. It started when Phil secretly took a picture of our son and sent it to his family. It blew up. Everyone tagged everyone on Facebook. Mom and family saw not only the picture but posts my in-laws made saying, "We won in the end," or, "Our grandson chose us," and 10 inches Mill lied about taking the picture herself at the hospital. Mom called crying saying Phil leaked and shared pic of our son and violated the agreement both families had. Dad said that on top of the defeat they had to deal with the propaganda and emotional stress from in-laws. I was fuming. I asked Phil if he sent his family a picture of our son hours ago. He said, jokingly, yesn't. I blew up at him saying we had an agreement and me and family respected it, but he and family OTOH were humiliating my family, ruining their joy and rubbing the fact that they got to be the first to see our son in their face. He said, so what? My family should quit being overdramatic when, shit, don't go their way. I said his family are the ones with the overdramatic, passive, aggressive attitude. I showed him every post and tag they made and asked if he'd be happy if my family did this. He scrolled for a couple minutes nodding and looking impressed. He said all he did was innocently sent Mom a picture since she couldn't stop calling, hassling and begging him for one picture. I said he still violated our agreement to not share photos till Tuesday, and this way his family will never respect the boundaries we try to set. I asked if those boundaries were just for my family to keep them at arm's length while obviously favoring his. He said that's my son, I have the authority to send a picture of him to whomever I please. Okay. Your family? The entire lot of them can either stef you and get over it or wait for your sister to, miraculously, give them a baby. We argued some more and I refused to drop it. He said I overreacted, blew his joy, and made a big deal out of it just cause my family has nothing better to do than cry, woe is me, and wrapped up by saying I clearly was in menshed, too deep in the fog and needed to cut the damn cord already. I'm thinking I might have been harsh. Am I the asshole? Context. Phil doesn't have the best relationship with my family. He thinks they are controlling and tries to exclude them from events while letting his family get involved in everything. He's not always home due to work at the local PD, police department. But he still controls what events my family shouldn't attend. Also, my sister is infertile that way Phil said, miraculously, and that hurt me on her behalf. Not the asshole. For the record, I think both families, including you and your husband, making a competition out of baby milestones is really dumb. This is a child here, not a badminton tournament. Posts my in-laws made saying, we won in the end, or, our grandson chose us, and, 10 inches this is so fucked up and shows they have no concept of your son as a human being. Maybe I'm doing petty revenge here, but if my hubby acted like that first chance I'd pack up some stuff and take my kid to my family for a few days and post pictures of them on FB. Let my kid meet my family, as I would not let my partner get away with talking to me like that. But he still controls what events my family shouldn't attend. Yikes. And you had a child with this guy? What were you thinking? You had an agreement. Phil violated that agreement, and his family went full on nasty acting as if they won, because they got the photos first. Seriously, you married into a totally toxic, nasty family. And he's saying you need to cut the cord with your family, but he's tightening the cord with his. You blew his joy. Well, he destroyed yours and your family's joy at their grandson. It sounds as if you and the husband need counseling. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I am petty as F. There is a very simple fix for this. Have your parents come visit your son first. If he doesn't have to accept the boundaries you both agreed upon, neither do you. Also, recognize that, unfortunately, you cannot trust your husband to honor any agreements you make regarding your child, and be wary moving forward. His family are asshats. Not the asshole. He literally picked the moment you have needed him the most, one of your most vulnerable moments, and stabbed you in the back. Also the audacity of acting all bravado and trying to convince you you're the one wrong? Nah, he just showed you that his needs of pleasing mommy are way more important than his pregnant wife who literally just gave birth. But looking at his family reaction, honestly what can one expect from that bloodline? Wow, no shock here finding out the asshole husband is a cop. Esh. Your relationship seems just terrible. Not the asshole. If you had an agreement, you had an agreement, period. He is showing you very succinctly that his family will always come first and seems like he won't be happy until your family is relegated to the background. I bet if you stepped back and looked closely you'd see a pattern that is not going to change. It appears he is attempting to isolate you, which can be a terrible thing when you may need some support or realize things aren't working out. Not the asshole. You agreed and he went behind your back and crossed boundaries he introduced. This is one of the first decisions you made together about your child. He betrayed you, went behind your back and gave his family what you agreed you wouldn't. I'd keep a very close eye on this. He's shown you that his parents' wishes come before yours when making decisions about your child. ETA, I've been thinking about this. At the very first chance he got your husband undermined a decision you made together about your child. I'd be asking myself if he set this situation up so he could play the game with his parents. You say he doesn't like yours. Would I be the asshole if I sued the daycare for my dog's injuries? First of all, sorry for any mistakes. English is not my first language and I'm incredibly tired and stressed right now. So, I, 21F, and my boyfriend, 23M, have 4 dogs. 2 of them are small, the other 2 are medium, big. The bigger ones, Brie and Cheddar, just turned 1 and are very energetic and messy. We couldn't leave them alone for 3 minutes without they destroying something around the house. So we decided to send them to daycare 2 days a week, hoping it would help them. I spent hours researching daycares around our house, then I finally chose one that, even though was not as close to our home as we hoped, was in our budget and had lots of great reviews. Since the daycare was far from our house, we couldn't walk them there, so we hired their service to pick them up and drop them off. They've been going there for a little over a month and it's been great. We receive lots of pictures of them having fun with other pups and can finally leave our house without worrying about what they are going to destroy next. So today was just like any other day. I wake up at 8:30 to take them to the car that's picking them up. I notice it's not the usual driver and this one got a little scared when they started barking at a dog in the street. However, I didn't think much of it, it was a professional after all, so I just helped her put them in the car and saw them off. Since today was a holiday here and I stayed up late last night drinking and playing board games with some friends, I just went right back to sleep, thinking my dogs would spend a day having fun and being taken care of. I wake up at 1 p.m. with 20 missed calls from the daycare. I call them back worried just to find out that as soon as they got there they escaped from the driver and ran off to the streets. The lady, instead of going after them, simply went in and told the receptionist, "Hey, someone has to go and get them," which resulted in both my dogs being missing for 40 whole minutes. But not to worry. They found them just in time to see Brie getting hit by a motorcycle and them hitting Cheddar, sending him sliding through the road. They took them to the vet, where they found out Brie had a broken rib and a punctured lung and had to immediately go into surgery so they could get all the air out of her chest. She is now intubated and the vet says she isn't high risk for now. Cheddar got a little luckier and didn't need surgery, but he also has a punctured lung. When my boyfriend heard the news he was livid and wanted to sue them as soon as possible. I however feel like, even though they did mess up, they are trying to help, and the owner of the daycare seemed really worried and offered help and even said she could Uber me to the clinic and go with me if I didn't want to go by myself. So I feel like as long as they pay for the bills there's no need to sue, since they are being so sweet and doing everything in their power to help. However, I do have a tendency to be too forgiving, so I just wanted to know, would I be the asshole if I sued them? I know people are always litigation happy and it truly sucks to read what has happened to your dogs. I hope they pull through. You sound like a pretty chill person, and if you are genuinely happy not to sue, then don't. However, I would. 1. Make it clear that they are responsible for covering all medical costs arising from the accident and get it in writing. 2. Tell the daycare that the person driving that day needs to be reprimanded, suspended, fired, retrained, whatever. That person clearly isn't suited for the job. 3. This is not relevant to the above, but I love that you named your dogs Brie and Cheddar. Honestly, no, you wouldn't be the asshole. Listen, mistakes happen. But if they're not going to cover vet bills, then you absolutely should go after it. Because it was still their mistake, and that's not a cheap situation, and the behavior of their employee was unacceptable. I think people get so happy over the silliest things, but this is not one of those silly things. This is a legit reason. Not the asshole, you would not be the asshole. However, you should try to avoid litigation if you can, as it is often a draining and expensive process. The daycare is responsible and should take care of all medical bills for your pups. Consider a lawsuit only as a last resort if they refuse to do so. Info. Did the owner offer to cover all the medical bills? I like that you're not jumping on suing them, but I'd wait and see how it all plays out, once the bills are paid, before deciding anything. Not the asshole. This is completely their responsibility. Also, they should have insurance to cover a situation like that. And you absolutely need to talk to a lawyer. If the biker fell, they will also have damage. And since your dogs were running across the road, they can sue you. Is the driver part of the daycare, or is that another service? Whatever company the driver works for should be covering the vet bills, since that's the person who let the dogs get loose. I really don't think there's any point in suing if they're already covering the vet bills. It sounds like the daycare had been great up until this incident, and even now they did a good job in those circumstances. It sounds like as soon as they found out the dogs were gone, they went right out and started looking. When they saw the dogs get hit, they rushed them to the vet, and they tried to call you multiple times. Not the asshole. Your dogs were in their care when they were injured, so no, you would not be an asshole if you decided to sue. If their employee had actually tried to run after your dogs, perhaps they would both still be perfectly okay. Something like that happened to me once. My family put our dogs in this kennel that would let them run around and would post pics on Facebook, and one day their neighbor threw poison over their fence and one of our dogs ate it, was hospitalized and ended up dying. If I hadn't been in college and was in charge of money, I definitely would have sued those neighbors. Info. You just throw in the word sue. Sue for what? The medical expenses? The negligence? The mental trauma? For new dogs? A lawsuit isn't simply, I sue. Don't get me wrong. What happened is terrible, but there are still things to consider. Since you didn't sign a contract, it is a little bit more unclear. Is the daycare even a registered company, or just some people offering to look after your dogs? Since without something written, this whole operation looks kinda dubious. Am I the asshole for asking my partner to wear a bra at my parents' place? My partner, 31F, is from California. I, 33M, am originally from Turkey. We've met while studying together in Europe, and a couple of years ago we got married and moved to her hometown. Since COVID hit, we never got to visit my family, and we've recently managed to make it there and stay with them for a couple of weeks. I come from what I always considered an open, secular, Western family, and they've always been very happy and welcoming with her. In the past, she found it very tiring to stay over at their place, completely understandable. So before coming this time, I promised to try and make her feel more at home. Eat at our own times, play our own music in the house, and not just Turkish one, which is usually on there, go out much more, etc. Once we got there, it turned out that for her, it meant another thing, which is never putting on a bra. We live by ourselves, and she never wears a bra at home. When she goes out, she sometimes won't either, depending on the outfit and how visible it is. I've never had any issue with that before and always saw it as something she should decide for herself, but now I found myself extremely uncomfortable with it. In previous visits to my family, she did wear bras. My parents, or neighbors, brothers and sister etc. never said a word about it, but I definitely noticed the glances and active attempts to avoid staring. It's not something that I've ever seen other women do around my family or while growing up, and it did attract their attention. I think bras are a stupid social convention, when not truly necessary, which is her case. But I know this isn't how my family sees it, and I didn't plan to spend this time with my family being an activist for my, or her, beliefs, just reconnecting a bit. A week into our stay, I told her it makes me a bit uncomfortable, in those words. She said I promised to try to feel more at home, that this doesn't fit with my principles, and that it makes her feel like I'm trying to be more truckish when I'm with my parents. I apologized for making her feel like that, told her some of what she says is true, but I could not stop it from making me uncomfortable. From there on, the rest of our stay was a bit of a wreck. She avoided my family as much as possible and shot angry glances at me whenever I suggested eating with them or going somewhere with them. I ended up ignoring her when I was with my family, thinking that I only have this week with them after 2 years, and who knows how long after. I knew it wasn't very nice towards her, and she probably felt very alone there, but thought we have a lifetime to deal with this after. She did not put on a bra at any point. I'm not really asking about ignoring her afterward. I think I'm probably the asshole in that case. But for the issue of me bringing up the bra situation to begin with, am I the asshole? Too long did not read. I visited my Turkish family with my girlfriend after a year and a half in the States, asked her to wear a bra while staying with them. Not the asshole, it's just a week. You could do that for your partner. It's a very small ask. I hate wearing bras too, but when I go and stay with my husband's family I wear it, it's no big deal. What does she mean by you being more Turkish? You are Turkish. She needs to understand not everybody wants to see her titties all the time. She's being a bad guest. You don't go to someone else's home and demand they accept everything you do because you want to feel at home. Well, she's not at home and she needs to respect that. Part of marrying someone from a different culture is learning how to respect that culture. She acted very childish and disrespectful towards your family and you, quite frankly. I'm all for free the titties, but there's a time and place for everything. Just because you've Americanized yourself doesn't mean the rest of your family should for her comfort. Nah. This maybe started being about a bra, but when you upped the ante by just ignoring her for not conforming, you became ta. You are the asshole. Not the asshole. I don't like wearing a bra either, but I wouldn't act like that. Also, her actively avoiding eating with them, not wearing a bra when she obviously can notice them look uncomfortable, it just seems like she's throwing a tantrum, or trying to get them to say something to her about it. Honestly surprised you're getting you are the asshole cause you're not. Like I said, I'm pretty anti-bra too, but I also find it unsightly and offensive when girls let it just hang out for everyone else to see. It's the same as when guys wear sweats that show their bulge, not appropriate for most situations, like around someone else's home. Not the asshole. When you're staying with others in their home, guests sometimes need to make compromises. There's doing things to be comfortable and then there's pushing boundaries. They were polite enough, not enough to say anything and to accommodate her. She can show them the same kindness. I don't like to wear pants. I hate sleeping with clothes on. But I do those things when I stay with others. This isn't the time to make a statement about sexualizing bodies. It's about respecting people in their own home. This is a tricky one. I would say not the asshole. In any other context I would say it's never right to ask someone to wear a bra. But in this case, since it's a matter of respecting cultural etiquette, you're not the asshole. In their home, in Turkey, not the asshole. She could make a small effort. If it was in a Western country, or her home, then she is free to live however she wants. Nah. I understand both sides to this, but it's a difficult one to give advice to. I love not wearing a bra but would feel disrespectful not wearing one in someone's home. But there are probably a lot of people that think different to me. Am I the asshole for not wanting my brother to come to my residence whenever he wants? I, 23F, am currently working at an entry-level position for six-figure salary. I'm of East Asian background where it is pretty common for the child to stay with their parents post-college, or your parents support you getting a place. Right before graduation, my mom told me she wanted to help purchase a small place for myself. My parents used money my sister, 18F, got from a traffic accident injury. She agreed to this. The rest of the down payment came from my parents' savings, while house and loans are under my name. They are paying for about 40% of the mortgage, while I'm paying the other 60% plus all utilities. The condo has 2 bedrooms, and my sis has a room where she can stay on weekends from college. I agreed to everything, as I was just excited to become a homeowner. My mom also paid for basic renovation and for most of the furniture, couch, bed, etc. While I paid for small things like the TV, plates, and other utility tools. My sister and I were under the impression that this condo would be our place, and my parents were just doing us a favor and being nice since my sister and I weren't able to have privacy while growing up. My parents also felt bad that they couldn't send me to private school. While they told me to give back my sister's share of the money when selling the property, I thought that I was technically only supposed to give back the part of the down payment that came from her accident, but since I was going to give her 50% of the assets anyways, I thought she deserved a lot more than what she got from the accident. I was willing to share the place with her. We thought we can make our own rules and set our own boundaries. Since this place is partially mine, my boyfriend would be staying with me whenever I want. However, my parents were under the impression that this was their place. They think they have complete control, which would mean that they can come over whenever they want, have relatives over to stay, and my brother could come by without notice at any time. This was unacceptable to me, as I am paying upwards of $2,000 excluding utilities every month for this place. For this money, I could have gotten a pretty nice place that would guarantee me privacy and allow me to have some control over where I live. My parents are now upset that we are setting boundaries. Their explanation is that it's unreasonable that I allow my boyfriend to stay with me at the condo, but my brother has to notify us before coming. They want me and my sister both to evacuate the place, turn the house over to them, and cut off all contact with us. They will give back our money. Am I the asshole for not wanting my brother to have freedom to come over to the condo? I should also mention, my boyfriend and I took a significant amount of time off work to help out with the renovations because my mom said the condo would be my place, and it wasn't her responsibility to renovate, which we wouldn't have done if we can't call this place our, me plus sister, place. Not the asshole. House and loans are under my name. There's nothing your parents can do about it. Thing with boundaries is that people bristle at first when they're used to being allowed to stomp all over them. They eventually get used to it. Your parents and brother will deal. Not the asshole. According to the deed and the loan, the condo is yours. If your parents intend to cut off contact anyway, you might as well keep the condo. If your family has keys, change the locks. Then at least your brother will have to knock, like any other visitor. By the way, your parents are bluffing. They just want you to do as they say. NTA, the house is under your name. It's not a nice favor if they hold it over your head. You have a right to set boundaries for your space. Not the asshole, and good thing the condo is in your name. Not the asshole if the arrangement doesn't work and home is under your name. You can always tell your parents that they can't suddenly demand for you to evacuate your own home. You can offer to pay them back their money. You can always work out an arrangement with your sister to repay her directly since she is receiving same benefit as you. Not the asshole, but don't give it to them? If anything, resell it and you and your sis can get your own place, or just cut contact with your fam. There's nothing left to hold on to. Not the asshole, the house and mortgage are in your name. You are paying 60% of the mortgage. It is a 2-bedroom apartment, one for you and one for your sister. You are also an adult, and can invite your boyfriend in as you please. Your parents should have made their expectations known from the beginning, allowing your brother to visit when he wants, having relatives over to stay, etc. It might be a good idea to change the locks on your flat so that only you and your sister have copies. Not the asshole, you own the place. It's your name on the deed, I hope, and you pay the bills. You are entitled to set the rules.